Hi everyone, welcome back to the Homespa Beauty Podcast. I have a request today and it's to chat to you about some facial tips when you are dealing with rosacea. Now, it's never a one size fits all for these conditions because everyone is different and there are lots of different types of rosacea. But coincidentally, I'm actually filming a YouTube video this week and I'll explain to you later on about why it could be useful if you're having a flare-up because there is heat involved, but I'll save that for later. So rosacea is a skin condition and what it can do, it is very common. It can cause redness and flare-ups in the skin and everyone's different. Some people can get a very ruddy redness in the cheeks. Sometimes it can be more visible. Sometimes it can be the chin, the nose. You can see blood vessels very obviously for some people. Others, it just looks like a lot of high colour. But again, as with so many skin conditions, it can vary from mild to moderate to severe. So everyone is different. When you have it, you tend to struggle to get rid of it completely, but you can definitely help yourself with some tips for facials. So I have some tips, but again, it's always a good idea to speak to your dermatologist, your doctor, your chemist, whoever it is that you go to, because everyone is different. Everyone's got different triggers. And what you have to realise is what might trigger you might not trigger someone else. What might help you might not help someone else. We are all different. I always say this, your own personal health is like a jigsaw puzzle and everyone's different and everyone's got different pieces that work for them. Something fits for you, it doesn't fit for me and vice versa. So just because an influencer or a celebrity swears by something and they say it works for them, it does not mean that you should run out and purchase it and it will be guaranteed to work for you because we are all different. So bearing in mind that they could be perfect for you, but likewise your doctor can recommend you a cream and it might not work and you might have to try several different styles of cream. So don't be annoyed at yourself if something doesn't work for you, but if something does work, then make sure that you have it noted in some sort of notebook or notes on your phone of what is working for you. I would recommend maybe reviewing what is working for you and how your skin is looking on a month-to-month basis, because you might not realise that you're having a really good run with your skin because you're doing something or it's a different time of year. And likewise, you might not understand why something's changed in your skin. And it could be that it's a different time of year, you're using different products. Maybe it could be that your diet changes at different times in the year, you're not getting the same amount of sunlight. You really should monitor month to month, and that could actually point out to you what you might not have seen was obviously changing for the good or for the not so good in your skin if you're having a rosacea flare-up or it's very much behaving itself. Now, everyone does have different triggers. The obvious ones could be perfuming your products, using the wrong products. The classics always used to be your diet. Some people would say that the rosacea triggered if they ate very spicy foods, or a lot of alcohol could really flare it up. Might not flare it up immediately. It could be that if you've had a change in diet and you've had that spicy food and you've had a lot of sugar in your diet and you've had a lot more alcohol than normal, the classic being Christmas, you might find that a couple of weeks later it starts to show in your skin. Some people are immediate, some people it takes a bit longer. So again, know your triggers. Now, the obvious thing again is to look into your diet and discover what you know would be good for rosacea. But again, everyone is different. So eating a diet filled with the right nutrients, the right vitamins, the right minerals for you, keeping your skin hydrated. Now, obviously, we want to make sure we take in enough water. It doesn't just have to be plain water though, there's also water in your food, as we know. your teas, your coffees. You don't want to overdo anything, but the days are gone when they used to say that you absolutely cannot have tea or coffee if you're trying to be healthy and you're trying to be hydrated. It's about controlling how much. Obviously, your herbal teas are great too. We always used to say fruit juices, but again, you've just got to be careful because some of the acidics don't work very well with your skin. Also the sugar. So just think about very carefully where your nutrition, your vitamins, your minerals, your hydration is coming from and what works for you. With rosacea, you need to make sure that you do cleanse your face, but very gently, and use the correct products again for your skin. So you don't want to use something that strips the skin. You don't want to use something that's highly perfumed. So whatever you choose needs to work for you, but it should be mild and it should be in accordance with your skin type. So just because you've got rosacea doesn't mean that you don't have other skin conditions in your skin that you're working with. You might be oily, you might be dry, you might be sensitive, you might have breakouts. So again, all of these things have to be taken into account when you choose your cleanser or your suitable cleansing medium for your rosacea. And again, when you're working with it, be kind and gentle to your skin. Do a very delicate but firm cleansing routine. Make sure you cover the area thoroughly, but then when you're rinsing it off or removing it, remove it thoroughly but remove it gently. Don't rub your skin like crazy because all that's going to do is flare it up, heat up the skin. You don't want to be heating up your rosacea, you're just going to be making it worse. So think very much about the cleanser that you're choosing to use. There is a theory that you don't want to be using anything specifically to dry out the skin. So if you do have a complicated skin and there's more than one thing going on, then I would suggest, if you're not confident doing your own research, maybe go and see a facialist, go and see your local beautician, your beauty therapist, someone that can talk to you about a cleansing, moisturising and extra nourishment routine, you know, that the correct masks for your skin, the correct exfoliators for your skin. It could be a dermatologist, but again, it could be someone that can create a facial routine for you. There is a theory that if you use products that are stripping the skin, you're just going to make it worse. But you do want to keep it simple. You want to make sure that whatever you're using, I mean, you see some things that are very much influencer led now, and it's almost a competition to see how many products you can apply to your skin for your facial routine and your makeup. I don't think it's something to be proud of personally for me, that you maybe need to use 30 or 40 products in order to cleanse, tone, moisturize, mask, prep, prime, foundation, all these different products. I don't see that as a badge of honour that it took you 30 or 40 products in your step-by-step routine. To me, keep it simple, use products that are right for you, and don't think that more is more. Less isn't necessarily more either, but it's about the right products for you, and your routine should be as many or as little steps that suit you. Don't think that it's the more the merrier. Sometimes that's down to marketing. Sometimes it's down to influencers trying to convince you that you need a product. And sometimes it's just product placement by a celebrity and it actually isn't necessary. So think very much about what's right for your skin and your condition. And remember, you are trying to keep your rosacea under control. Now, rosacea can be quite dry and it can be quite peeling and it can flake. So really think about the moisturiser. So you want to make sure that you're moisturising at least twice a day. You don't want to overdo anything on your skin, but if you really felt that you needed it during the day and you weren't wearing a lot of makeup, then you could put a tiny little bit more moisturiser on during the day. But if you get it right, ideally, just in the morning, just in the evening, it might be the same moisturiser. You might use a heavier night cream. You might do something that's a little bit more intensive for nighttime. But you need to make sure that you moisturise, because what you're really doing again is helping that rosacea and helping to keep it under control. Again, there's no point recommending one just for everyone because everyone's skin is very different. But what you have to do is think about the symptoms that you've got. Do you have the flushing? Do you have the redness? Do you have any breakouts? Is it swollen? Is it hot to the touch? Is it bumpy? Do you have the acne breakouts? They're not always specifically acne, but it can definitely look like acne. So what you have to make sure is that you know exactly how your rosacea is presenting itself. And that's why it's good to speak to some form of medical professional to get a diagnosis and to make sure that you know exactly how you're going to handle that rosacea. When you are working with your products too, and when you're having baths or showers or you're washing your face, please make sure you don't use extremes of temperature on your skin, because what will happen is too hot, you could actually make the redness and the irritation worse, and you could have vasodilation, which is where your blood vessels become wider. That's going to make it worse, because that's then bringing more blood to the area, making the redness worse. But also too cold and you can shock the skin. So make sure that you've got the temperature right for you. Also make sure that you protect your skin from extremes of temperature day to day. So sunscreen is a good idea, but again, make sure that your sunscreen is the right sunscreen for you. Again, there's so many different sunscreens that you can use. Some of them will break you out. I personally have quite a sensitive skin that can move to oily, so I have to be careful personally for myself that when I use sunscreen, that it's not one that's going to break me out and clog up my pores and give me a different set of issues. But we do have to protect ourselves. So find a sunscreen that does work for you. What you also have to make sure is that you try to keep, and this is easier said than done, you try to keep your stress levels down. Because that's easier said than done means that you can be chasing your tail and going around in circles. When you are not happy with how your skin looks, or you've got a breakout, or you've got an irritation, or it could be swollen and bumpy looking, that upsets you. What does the upset cause? Stress. You start fretting about your skin. You might keep touching it, you might overload it with product, you might try and hide it with lots of makeup. You're not helping yourself. Then what happens? You don't like the look of it. You become obsessed with looking in the mirror. It's not because you're vain, not in the slightest. It's the opposite. You're upset with it. So you keep looking at it, and then that just feeds the stress, and then you're going round in circles. So what you've got to make sure you do is try to keep your stress levels down to a minimum. Most of us will see, if we've had a stressful situation, maybe an intensive amount of stress because something's happened at work, something's happened at home in the family, anything like that, what you can find is about 4 to 6 weeks later, it will show in your skin. So if you've had an intensive period of stress, your body can really show you about 4 to 6 weeks later. So if you suddenly get a flare-up and you feel as if it might have come from nowhere, think back 4 to 6 weeks. Did something happen? Was there a problem at work? Was there a problem with a friendship, a problem in the house? Did something stressful or unhappy happen in the home? That could be something that actually caused the attack, but it was a little bit later on. So think about that. When you are dealing with your skincare products as well, as I said, you don't want anything that's too heavily fragranced. You don't want anything that's too intense. So you don't want anything that's too perfumed, too heavy in alcohol. You don't want something that might be very minty or pepperminty or menthol. Eucalyptus is fine, but again, if it's too much of this, you do not want that to be in your product because it could be far too strong for your skin. You want to be careful with any foaming agents, because if something is too soapy but is coming from the chemical background, that could definitely flare it up. Again, trial and error with your products, and if you're at all unsure, then take advice. But really, what you have to remember with rosacea is it is definitely manageable. Unfortunately, as with so many different skin conditions, it can flare up. But when you are doing your facials, just remember, be thorough with your skin, be gentle with your pressure, don't use extremes of temperature with your water, do not overload the skin with too many products, and just think very carefully about treating those areas effectively but gently. And don't forget, you're not just treating the rosacea, the skin there does probably have needs of its own in addition to that. So you're still wanting to be thinking about whether your skin's dry, combination, sensitive, oily, etc. So it's a very deep subject. There's a lot to rosacea. You have my sympathy because there are so many different types. Again, you can get the mild to the extreme. And I've worked with people who have said themselves that it can be really difficult to manage. But that's just a starting point. That's some food for thought. I'm always here. If you've got any questions, you can ask me here. You can email me. You can speak to me in the comments on YouTube. I hope you did find this helpful, a little bit insightful. As always, if you'd like me to cover a subject in a future podcast, just drop me a line. And have a lovely day. I'll see you again soon.